Good evening on this Tuesday, the second day of December 2025. I hope you all are having a fantastic middle of the week. I know I certainly am with the weather that we have been seeing lately. Yeah, some of you don't like the fog, some of you do like me. And as I look out the window, yeah, it's the same thing. We haven't had much sun. We haven't had a whole lot of it. More foggy days and just sunny days. If you're in the Central Valley, that's just how it's been. And I just don't think we're going to see much of this anytime soon. Some portions, though, north of, say, Stockton, say, north of, say, Sacramento, will break out into sunshine tomorrow. But the story of this live stream is, what is Tule fog? What causes it? And when will it finally clear out? It's been very stubborn for nearly 14 days. We're looking at 2 weeks of this already. Actually, we're on day 14 today or day 13. Can't keep track of days 100% here, but we're in the ballpark of 2 weeks here with seeing this. And I think we're going to add many more days to the fog days this season. So let's actually transition and look at the satellite imagery here. Of course, this is zoomed in quite a bit on your side. Let me actually do that. There we go. That's a lot better. And this is College DuPage right here, collegedupage.edu. And what we have here is a very classic example of the bathtub effect in the Central Valley, where we have all this Tule fog. This is this morning's snapshot. We got high, thin, wispy cirrus clouds moving in from north to south because of that inside slider that we'll be talking about here and how that might help to scour some of this out. Had some fog up here to the north, and in fact, some airports reported visibilities down to feet, not miles at all. So, boy, if you are caught underneath this or within these foggy areas, boy, I'm telling you, please slow down. This is a really, really, really poor visibility. Now that, excuse me, this has lifted though. Even so it's a stratus deck, it has lifted off the ground. So we're seeing just a low stratus instead, but that should resettle in tonight. We'll talk more about that. But look at how persistent this really has been. It hasn't been able to burn off. That means where this mixes out, where the sun penetrates the surface heats up and is able to start the convective mixing phase of the atmosphere during the day. And that hasn't really been true today, where it's just been foggy and cloudy, depending on exactly where you're at in this. And in fact, some airports are still reporting reduced visibilities this afternoon, which means if it lifted, it only lifted for a little bit. And if it did, it's very low ceiling. And we'll get to our airports here in just a second on this. But also coming on the top of that fog deck, we're starting to see, hold on a second. Sorry about that. That thing goes off every single day, and I can't figure out how to turn off that alarm on that little timer, whatever it's called. But yeah, we have high cirrus clouds streaming in from north to south on top of this, and so that would make things interesting to see if it can reform or expand in a footprint of coverage tonight before the onslaught of northerly winds pick up in the low levels tonight, which should actually help stir things up a little bit. But till then, I'm sorry, it's going to be a foggy night for many locations, especially south of, say, Stockton and Modesto. So here's a nice camera. Time to get the iPhone out, time to get your Canon camera out and kind of take a snapshot of this. This is pretty beautiful. You got the high clouds, you got the setting sun, and then of course you get the stratus. And if we look at the last 15 minutes, you can see those clouds are moving from left to right, and that is a southeasterly surge that we're dealing with right now, helping to bring that fog up the valley, or whatever does not burn off, that will return tonight before the north wind picks up. But wow, what a pretty sun here. sunset that is about to occur here in about 30 minutes or so with these high wispy clouds. Here's another picture here, and as we actually look at the 6-hour time lapse here, you can see how this stratus deck begins to lift during the day as that mixing begins to occur due to the sunshine hitting the surface. And look at it, it just lifts and it lifts, but also take note, there is a little bit of convective elements within this stratus telling us there is a little bit of low-level instability that is helping to work that out and mix it out sufficiently. And it does mix out here in Walnut Grove. That's pretty much northwest of me. So it mixes out briefly, but look how hazy and the air quality really not that good at all. Before this happens, the fog returns, it really becomes more firmly established, and it really settles in. Boy, look at that. It is already foggy completely in Walnut Grove. Again, yeah, that's what we're dealing with. But these thick cirrus clouds here may delay things of how widespread this is going to get. So yeah, just a cool image there from the wildfire alert cameras here, courtesy of pgnd.com. So now, just how long has it been foggy for? A lot of you that live in the Central Valley, I know a lot of you are not, I only have 8 people watching, which tells me not a lot of you are watching this from California. Not many local people watching this right now. But if you are, yeah, you know what I'm talking about here. So as we go to November 21st, this was just before Thanksgiving, and I'll tell you, Valley was nice and sunny. We loved those nice sunny days. But then the 22nd, this was, I believe, a Saturday. Yeah, that was a Saturday. No, that was a Saturday, almost 2 weeks ago. And look at, that was our last sunny day, because as we go to the next day, this fog started to get established. It did not really want to burn off very much. And this is in the afternoon hours. It tried to get itself together really well in Davis and Dixon, Stockton, Lodi. I remember this actually. I was actually driving to work, and yeah, there was some fog rolling in. Yeah, that was the beginning of this. And then look at what happens here. It's more widespread, especially across much of the southern San Joaquin Valley, like Fresno, as well as, Tulare, that is, Hanford, Wasco, Delano, really socked in with that low overcast. Oakdale also. Let's go to, this is Sunday, this is Monday, this is Tuesday. We didn't have any imagery there. But look at this, by Wednesday, the 26th of November, yeah, I want to make sure, yep, that's Wednesday, and this is the fog. This is the stratus, again, really failed to really burn off sufficiently here. Really, pretty incredible to see that. And then also foggy down here, just low overcast. But now let's go to Thursday. Pretty much same thing, just up and down the valley, just foggy. Down here broke up, actually, surprisingly. Friday, same thing. Lots of fog. Now we're getting somewhere, aren't we? So the bathtub here really well established, all the way from Redding, all the way southward here. Yuba City, Lodi, Merced, all the way down into Bakersfield. Even the Grapevine. Yeah, getting some fog there as well. This is very extensive. This is very much so. As we go to, this was the 29th. It just doesn't get any better than this. Just very, very, very thick. And look at even some fog rolling through the Altamont Pass, even through Black Hawk Summit Canyon as well, even trying to roll through there. And even some outflow coming through Crockett, the Venturi effect, Vallejo, and even some of that kind of rippling through San Rafael as well. Speaking of the Venturi effect, boy, there were some very strong wind gusts coming through the Carquinez Strait from the east, not from the west, like we traditionally see during the summer months, but also through the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco had some very strong wind gusts of over 30 to 40 miles an hour from the northeasterly direction. So that goes to show you. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about Central Valley fog. We're talking about the Tule fog. That's its former name pretty much at this time. And we're talking about California here. So here's the United States, of course. And here is what we're talking about. So very localized. This is not a stream that will interest a lot of people, but I thought it would be a good afternoon to briefly talk about this. So yeah, this is that Central Valley fog. This was Sunday. Oh, wait. No, this was Saturday. This was Saturday, the 29th. This is Sunday. Man, just widespread. Man, this didn't go anywhere on Sunday. Just really was just north to south, down the valley, just really thick. And then this is yesterday. Yesterday, it burned off a little bit in some areas, but boy, you were very unlucky if you're in Tracy, Brentwood, Los Banos, something like that. Firebaugh, man, just did not burn off at all. This is, by the way, a little higher up. This is not at the very surface, but this is about 1,000 feet above the surface where this cloud deck is. And then we don't have today's image in, but you kind of will get an idea once it comes in. It's going to look pretty much like this. So my point being here is, it's been foggy for many locations for quite some time, and you all are wondering, when will this go away? I don't want it to go away personally. I want it to kind of stick around for a long while. So when will it burn off, scour out, however you want to call it? Well, we're going to need some wind, and it looks like some wind is going to pick up tonight across the higher elevations of the Sierra. And of course, on the northern side of the Sacramento Valley, west side, San Joaquin Valley as well. We're going to get some wind picking up overnight tonight into the day tomorrow. And what that's going to do is it's going to scour out this inversion. It's going to scour out and remix the atmosphere so we don't get much of an inversion anymore. And that will really erase fog chances, especially north of, say, Stockton, maybe even Modesto northward. I don't think we're going to see much in the way of fog. However, though, at the same time, depending on how this evolves tomorrow, is going to be something that we'll have to monitor and watch out for. So let's move into the model here. This is the 18Z HRRR model. We don't have our 0Z model in yet, and so you're probably wondering, when will this clear? Now, of course, we are not seeing things pan out here like what the HRRR model shows. It shows that the fog will be completely gone by, let's see what time this is. This is local time, right? This is 7 p.m. tonight, local time. It shows that, we're not going to see any fog very much in the valley. By the way, these blue colors here that you see, this is high-level clouds. These are cirrus clouds, basically overspreading much of California. These purple colors basically tell us that there's mid-level clouds, and then the white and gray colors tell us where the low-level clouds are. So we're seeing 3 layers of cloud cover, and it's transparent, so it helps us out here to figure out, will this burn off? And based on the satellite presentation that we have right now, it's expanding already, even despite the cirrus deck. This is not essentially burning off. So take this with a grain of salt, of course, but if we do look at our 22 Zulu model run, you can see it has met reality quite nicely at 7 p.m. But the reason why I don't want to use the 22 Zulu, it doesn't go out that far. It only goes out to 18 hours out. So that's why we'll reference ourselves and look at the 18Z run instead. Ignore the short-term forecast because we're going to see fog. It's foggy now. It's going to be foggy tonight. And right now, relative humidity outside my house, 97, 98%. So that just tells us the air is wet and it's going to resaturate tonight. So now for tomorrow morning across the Central Valley here, this would be 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, of course, if you're wondering what this is in Eastern Standard Time, this is 4 a.m. By 5 a.m. Eastern Time, this would be 2 a.m. The fog is firmly established, really, really thick. Yeah, it's pretty much where we're at now is where it is. And yeah, this might take a while. This is 9 a.m. I wouldn't be surprised on this model, especially now casting this, if the fog really struggles to burn off right over in here. So we add in the cloud cover where the blue sky would be, or cirrus clouds are, and just this whole valley right here is just underneath that overcast. All right. So that's what we're seeing. Well, let's go forward here. And then it burns off. I think tomorrow it burns off, leaving us nice and sunny, but that will depend on the now casting of where we're at in the morning, what the footprint is like, and whether or not will it mix out. But it does look like it will mix out pretty well across Modesto, Stockton, even in Turlock, Merced, as well as Madera. Fresno, you might be seeing a few patches here and there left over. But then when you might think that, oh, the northerly wind will protect us, no more fog anymore. Not. Yeah, fog comes back Wednesday night and a Thursday morning, and we'll see what that does throughout the day on Thursday. But man, if we get a sunny day, tomorrow's the day to get outside and walk the dog and enjoy the sun. Take a sunbathe if you want. Because maybe not so much on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, this fog deck really gets well established. That's what we have here on the HRRR, which stands for High Resolution Rapid Refresh. So actually, let's talk about the wind a little bit. So let's go to here. That's what we want. We want this right here. This is the low-level wind forecast. And you can see right in here, that's northerly, that's offshore. That's going to scour out. Some drier air is going to come down. You can see the flow here coming from east here. So this is a cold, dry wind coming from the Sierras. It sinks and dries out further. So we get a lot of drier air moving in across the northern end of the Sacramento Valley. Tomorrow, we'll see about what happens down here in Fresno. But then this wind, actually this is 850, right? This is 850, 925. We want the 925 millibar winds. Where are we at? Okay. Not going to give us wind in the lower levels. So let's do something. Let's actually bring this up. Let's go to the NAM. Let's go to California Central, and then let's go to wind. Here we go. So this shows offshore. So this is blowing this way. Yeah, that's not a pattern for Tule fog. For whatever fog we have tonight that forms, yeah, I understand that. But if this was one of those wind events that lasted maybe 2 days on end, yeah, we wouldn't see fog Wednesday night. But instead, the wind turns off by Wednesday night into Thursday. Santa Ana winds are going pretty strong, though, in Southern California. You can see the red here indicating very strong offshore flow in the low levels, blowing from east to west. But look it up in the valley here. This is another fog pattern waiting to happen. Not much wind to stir things up. And it remains that way. Very light, loose winds on Thursday into Friday. We do get into another north wind event as we go into Friday, but this wind is not so much downsloping. It's more kind of like this. So what that's going to mean is it's actually not going to dry out the atmosphere. We might see more moisture advecting into the valley for the day on Friday. And you can see that here. See all that moisture? Going to bring us some fog even into the weekend, despite that north wind that sets up again on Friday, but doesn't look to be as strong as what we're dealing with tonight or tomorrow. So with that in mind, I wanted to show you, the soundings here. So this is my favorite here. I wish I can zoom in on these, man. I wish I could. I wish I could. I wish I may. I wish I might. Can't zoom in much further. So I hope you guys can see this. Can you guys see this just fine? The 25 people that are watching this live stream. I'm even surprised I have 25 people watching. Someone's interested in all of this, and that's great. That's why I thought I would make a live stream on this. It's not even winter yet, and it's this cold. Yeah, and so, I wanted to go to temperatures. We'll show you the temperatures here in a little bit. I can see it just fine. Perfect. So, if you know how to read a skew-T sounding, this is basically the fundamentals of how Tule fog forms. So basically, your red line here is your vertical or virtual temperature lapse rate, or your vertical temperature lapse rate, because you're going in the vertical here. And so on a skew-T sounding here, this is skewed to the right. So these lines here are going to go up like this. Okay, so the 0 degree line, if you literally kept the temperatures like this, the red line was like over here, you wouldn't see much cooling aloft because it's kind of paralleling that 0 degrees Celsius line, which, by the way, 0 degrees Celsius is 32 degrees, and negative 20 Celsius is 0 degrees, something like that. We won't get that cold, I promise you. Take my word for it. We won't get that cold down to the surface. That would be really bad if it did. But pay attention to this down here on the sounding. Pay attention to here. See these lines? See this red line? See this green line? By the way, your green line is your dew point lapse rate. Just like the air temperature, it's your dew point with height. So actually, before we get to that, this is dry air here. These are further spread apart. So the dew point depression here is much higher. The bracket is higher. And then here it's a little closer, which might indicate some cirrus clouds. That's what we're seeing tonight. As actually we roll through this, you can see periodically this gets closer. So we do get some cirrus clouds. So this is pretty much now. And so when these two, the dew point and the air temperature, are next to each other, that's what you get. You get dense fog. You get Tule fog. All right. Now, this doesn't mean it's going to be down on the surface. It depends on if moisture is there for the fog deck to come down to the surface, which I think it's going to happen tonight. I'll show you some evidence on that in just a little bit. But here's the problem. So the air mass is pretty configured for Tule fog, but watch what happens watch the north wind pick up here. That's not very conducive. This is very, very dry. Dew points here at about 10,000 feet are roughly right around negative. This is roughly about 35 to 45 degrees below zero with the dew point. So this is a very, very dry air mass. Extremely dry at 700 millibars, 600 millibars. So this is about 10 to 15,000 feet above the surface, and very dry down here in the lower levels. So what that means is by 9 in the morning, the fog just doesn't clear out, but it actually, the air mass gets drier from north to south because this north wind scours that inversion. It mixes things out very nicely for us. So what we end up seeing is temperatures that are in the mid 50s, even upper 50s tomorrow. The fog will make a difference. If it stays foggy and cloudy in Stockton to the south, temperatures will not get too much warmer than the upper 40s tomorrow. But if the fog clears, then things warm up really nicely. It'd be really nice to get a 60-degree day here and there because, again, it's been almost 2 weeks dealing with this overcast. For me, I don't mind it, but I would like to see some sun hopefully in another few days or so. We'll get some sun tomorrow. But just so you know that I don't think we're done yet after this. So this is very dry here for Wednesday afternoon. Excuse me there. Sorry about that. And then watch what happens. Watch once we get our southerly surge. Our flow will turn out of the southerly direction. See this right here? This is more moist. This is more moist right down here. So we go from having a really dry atmosphere. This is pretty dry. Looks like it's going to get moist again. So we have another thick fog deck developing by Thursday morning. And it looks like these two are friends all day long. So it doesn't look like we're going to burn off with that fog deck. And really a lot more moisture being added to the air as we go into Thursday night. You can really see this right here. Really moist atmosphere setting in. So we do have to get through this north wind, and then it looks like fog makes a return for a while, probably for quite some time until the pattern changes for good. I just don't see that happening. So here on the NAM model, the North American meso model, this is showing a lot more fog. This is Fresno. No wonder why. Hold on. Stockton. Let's go to Stockton. Stockton Airport, LMNOP, QRS. Where's our Stockton? There we go, Stockton. So this is further north. Again, fog deck is very thick. Don't be surprised that, it's foggy at 6 in the morning. Just consider things. The north wind will help things out, and it does warm up nicely once that fog burns off. These are separated. And with a low sun angle, doesn't burn off. Our sun angle this time of the year is 28.4 degrees, 28.5 degrees above the horizon at solar noon. So a very low sun angle here makes the fog really tough to burn off each and every day. Now, of course, you might be wondering, well, how can the fog return again after that drier north wind event? Well, let's go back to the model here and let's look at the wind forecast, because what goes on at the surface makes a whole bit of a difference. So let's zoom in. There we go. That's what I wanted. HRRR, my favorite model. And I want you all to pay attention to the wind here. So this is a north wind. 7 in the morning on Wednesday, we talked about how that's going to scour out the fog, but you're probably wondering, But how is the fog clearing out here at 9 in the morning, you know, across Stockton and maybe Modesto when there's no north wind? Well, that's because the low-level winds are going to be quite strong at that level to help at least mechanically mix it out. What that means, without surface heating, you can mix this fog out. But then look what happens. So as we go into the afternoon on Wednesday, this southerly surge works its way up. You can see the wind vectors here blowing in like that. So your flow is coming up the valley again versus this north wind that's howling out here or up here north of Sacramento. So there's a boundary where does this set up, right? If you're south of this, the fog could stay around for a lot longer than what the models are showing here. But if this boundary is a little further south, like say across Modesto, then maybe areas like Lodi, Stockton, Galt, Elk Grove clear out. And then the south or the southerly surge really gets going as we go into tomorrow night. So this would be 9 p.m. This is pretty formidable. This is a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind coming in out of the southeasterly direction, and that really shuts down that north wind. And then by the time we go into Thursday morning, virtually no one in the valley has wind anymore. And you're probably wondering, this right here, this is outflow. Yeah, that outflow, because the drainage wind, the flow wants to do this. And then on the northern end of the valley, always this time of the year, the flow wants to do this. And so you get a drainage wind. And that tells us that there's going to be a lot of fog returning for Thursday morning for many areas, as you see here. So yeah, we're not done with the fog, but I would say temporarily we're done with the fog. I think the majority of your Wednesday, say in the ballpark, if you're north of Modesto, you should see mostly sunny skies tomorrow, although some high wispy cirrus clouds will make things a little interesting and picturesque. So now to the airport. So now Tule fog. So actually, I didn't really get to into why it forms. So of course, why Tule fog forms in the Central Valley? Why is this well known for the valley in the Central Valley? Well, because there's the mountains that surround the valley. So we got the coastal mountains here across the northern end, like in Northern California. We got the San Mateo Mountains, the Tehachapi's down here in the southern end of the Sacramento and San Joaquin Valley, and then you got the Sierra Madre Mountains here. So this basically traps in pollutants. This traps in the moisture. It traps in the particulates, so it makes fog easier to form. Basically, that's kind of how I look at it here. And what you need is a lot of rainfall. We had a lot of rainfall in November. We had like 4 inches. That's very significant for November. In fact, we are so far above average, we really don't need rain for the rest of December. We should be fine. We're in a much better situation. And in fact, the grounds outside my doorstep here, it's pretty muddy actually. Out in the vineyard, the soils are really wet still. So that tells us that we have enough moisture still for fog days on end. And not even after this north wind event, I think we're not done with the fog. And secondly, when we have all that rainfall, the ground is moist and it's cool. And with longer nights, our nights are now 15 hours long, right? It's dark for 15 hours, literally. The sun doesn't come up. Right now, the sun sets here at about 4:42 in the afternoon. It's not going to be up until like 7:15 in the morning tomorrow. So our nights are much longer, and that allows the surface to cool down, what we call conductive cooling or radiative cooling. So if you think about it, skies are clear, the surface is, you're able to reflect and vent out all that infrared heat energy from the day of, from when the sun heated the surface, all right? And that allows Tule fog. what we call radiation fog. It's not your coastal fog. This here is coastal fog along the San Mateo coast. This is a different kind of fog. This is what we call Central Valley fog, and this is very classic for the winter time. So something to consider here, that you're going to see more of this probably by the time we go into the weekend, into early next week. But hey, it is winter, almost winter after all, and that means more of this. As long as the moisture stays around, we don't get a whole lot of upper level disturbances to stir things up. I think we're going to have more fog on the way outside of tomorrow's north wind event. And those north wind events usually do typically, once the fog leaves, it doesn't come back. But because the air mass is going to still be relatively moist, the ground is going to be relatively moist, I don't see things staying clear for too much longer. The worst case scenario is we don't see fog tomorrow night, but we see it returning Thursday night into Friday morning. So let's take a look here at our airport observations. And this is what I like to look at when it comes to, well, the Tule fog. And you might think, oh, okay, it's a radiational fog, but sometimes there's two different types of fog when it comes to radiational fog. You get the cloud deck coming from sky high down to low to ground level. That's what we call a conductive fog or an advection fog that develops. And then the other type of fog, it's called type A. That's going to be the radiational fog. That starts from the surface and it expands overnight. So as the night goes on, your deck may start at like 200 feet and then expand rapidly to say 1,000 feet. So by morning, that 200-foot fog deck of Tule fog now has began to have a deck of about 1,000 feet. And why that matters a lot is if it's about 1,000 feet or more thick, the fog typically doesn't burn off or mix out very efficiently. And if it does, it's usually by late afternoon before it returns, it precedes more fog the night of. So right now it is clear in Sacramento, so we are not seeing any low-level stratus here. Even so, the visibilities are 8 miles at the moment, southeasterly wind helping to supply that moisture. And then now let's go further south. Actually, let's go to Stockton. Stockton, right now, we are down to 500 feet. So this is a conductive fog right now. So it's not foggy at the surface. Does not mean it won't get foggy tonight. Now, what I pay attention to is this right over here, this box, okay? The stratus. How high above the surface is this? So this is times 100 feet. So OVC means overcast at 500 feet above ground level. Okay, so that 005 means 500. This is 600. This is 600. This is 700. So actually, let me type this up so it's easier for y'all to see here. So let's do this. Hold on. So this is 600 feet, 600 feet all in here, right? This is 700 feet, and this is 800 feet off the ground. So this fog deck is it's coming back down to the surface. It's slowly lowering again as we lose that surface heating. Now, sometimes it doesn't reach the surface entirely at all overnight. It just depends on what the thermodynamic profile is. But because we have that north wind coming in tonight, we have some warming in the low levels. I do see this coming all the way down to the surface, or at least remain like 100 feet, maybe 200 feet above the surface. But either way, this is a low fog. This is relatively low. If we go back just a few days ago, this is very high. See this right here? A ceiling of 1,900 feet. No, this is not 19 feet above the surface. This is 1,900 feet above ground level, not sea level. I think it's above ground level. That's how they measure it. And then this is 1,800, 1,900. Then BKN means broken at 1,900 feet. It's clear. The visibilities, pay attention to those because we did get some brief fog formation last night. And then you can see here. Now, this VV stands for variable visibility at 600 feet or lower, which means just be aware that there might be some fog around the area at that level. Actually, it's variable all the way through. So I would probably assume that this is right in here. This is very, very, very thick fog here. And this is 200 feet. So which means variable visibility is at 200 feet or lower, meaning that above that, it's typically clear. So this is more of a shallow fog at this point. And then it lifts up then. And then it's clear. Then it got foggy again last night. And then ever since then, this overcast has been quite low. Same thing. Oh, it's actually clearing up in Tracy. We actually, oh, wait. Okay, yeah. So it's been overcast for much of the day. The fog deck has cleared, but those visibilities being really bad right now at 3 miles means it's going to get foggy again tonight. In Modesto, see what it's like in Modesto at 600 feet. Also the ceilings, 4-mile visibility. So that means it's just a hazy fog right now with that southeasterly flow helping to pump in that moisture. So nothing stops me to saying it's not going to get foggy tonight. I think there will definitely be some fog for sure in a widespread area, especially south of, say, Elk Grove tonight. I think that's where the fog will be well established. It might not, we'll see, because the high cloud cover, but really in Stockton, further south, boy, it's going to be very soupy tonight. And then here in Merced, better visibility, actually, quite surprisingly. The visibility was not very good at all this morning. The visibility has improved a little bit there recently, so that's good news to hear. In Madera, visibility here, let's refresh this, is better than it was this morning. Yeah, this morning was really bad visibility. Now it looks like that ceiling has come up to 1,000 feet, 900 feet, now 1,000 feet. So it looks like it's not lowering here very much. In Fresno, it's at around 700 to 800 feet. And the visibility here, man, 2 miles, 2-mile visibility at times, even this afternoon at 1:53 p.m. Visibility here was 3/4 of a mile. So you can kind of get an idea that, visibility not very good at that airport, and it was really thick this morning. Look at down to 1/10 of a mile briefly this morning, and it was kind of hovering around that even early this morning. So, man, really bad visibility. And I do expect things will settle back down to the surface tonight. And in Bakersfield, 4-mile visibility already, but reporting clear skies at the moment. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be watching. And so what I like to do is I like to now cast, what are we seeing with our relative humidity right now? We're at 95.2, so we're about 96% humidity. The wind is up still. We're waiting for that wind to die down a little bit so that the stratus can settle in. It is 45 degrees outside. So that's what I have, all I got for this lesson. Do you guys have any questions? I'm going to save the lower 48 weather for tomorrow morning's video. You guys really liked my last video. Got 30,000 viewers off of that. So I want to say thank you all for watching this morning's video. That's why I think uploading in the morning is probably better for the channel, because a lot of you tend to check out weather updates in the morning, not really in the afternoon, because you got what you wanted for the day. And so that's why I'm trying this new setup out where I upload at 3 in the morning every single day. And I'm hoping I can get well established into it, because then once I get used to it, then I can kind of make that into my schedule. David, hey David, it's so cold here. It's 48 degrees. Really? You're just to the west of me, aren't ya? Ariana. It's colder here. It's 45.6 degrees. In fact, there it is right there. There's my station, 45.6 degrees. And the cool thing I like about this is I got a little bit of a radius sonde on my weather station, which actually tells us how low the stratus is. 309 feet here. That's very low. Man, it's really low. You can see 309 feet is the cloud base. Pretty cool, isn't it? Got a little bit of a wind chill going on because of the wind right now that we're seeing. I'm so tired of this overcast. I know. I'm talking about California. IA Coral, yes. Your videos this morning was fantastic. What kind of weather station do you have? I have a Davis Vantage Pro 2 Plus weather station, but I recently purchased a SCADA monitor, so it's able to aim at the sky and give me the cloud deck. That's very important. It's not available to the public. You can't find it on the National Weather Service website. But you can tell when we click on this, 309 feet is the ceiling right now. So it is very low here, really low overcast. That's why I'm thinking there's no doubt in my mind that we will see fog tonight. Actually, is it foggy now? Ooh, I think it is. Man, it is low. Wow, it is very low. It is very low. Yeah, I just looked outside. I could only see about 1.25 miles to my south. So the deck is very low, probably about 300 feet or even lower than that. It's been like this for more than a week. Oh yeah, it certainly has. But hey, you know what, Ariana? I keep records of how many fog days we get during the fall and winter season, and we're up to day 13. Actually, wait, hold on. On a localized scale, we're not up there, but on a regional scale, we are, man, what day are we at on this? Saturday, we were clear. Sunday, it formed. It had a hard time clearing out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're on day 10 of this right now. We'll see if we can sneak in day 11 tomorrow, but I don't think we'll break the streak for tomorrow. Ever since the week before Thanksgiving, yeah, I know. California is so dry, you should be loving the humidity. I agree. We're loving the humidity because honestly, why? And honestly, Ariana, I know you don't like the fog, but I do for many reasons. It traps in the moisture. So instead of us losing all that moisture, we're able to hold in that moisture because honestly, I do not see any rain for California anytime soon. Probably through, I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I just do not see any rain anytime soon. It's been a while since we last had anything meaningful. You can blame it on this stupid ridge, this stupid blocking high pressure system. This is troubling. The next week is dry for California. and maybe something on the 18th of December. But man, that is in hopes and dreams. That's a hopes and dreams forecast right there for California. Yeah, maybe something impressive. We shall see, but we are not getting any rain at all in here. I mean, this is completely dry through the 18th of December. So yeah, Cloudy Jesse, do you guys get freezing fog ever? Yes, we do get freezing fog, but rarely. Actually, tonight would have been the night to see that, but because the stratus is well established in our area, and see, this is what I mean. When we get the fog like this, we do get drizzle. It was drizzling the other day. Actually, the roads were wet on the way down to Fresno for the baby shower that I attended. And so you can see what it does. You get moisture, you get drizzle. This helps to replenish the ground a little bit. It's like the water cycle on a localized scale. So that is why I hope we could hang on to this fog for as long as we can. I know it could damage crops. I understand the bad news that it can bring to a lot of farmers, but on a meteorological perspective, it locally can actually keep us wet. It can keep us moist. We don't lose the water like we would if it were sunny days on end, where we get a lot of evaporative happening. So that's that. But yeah, to your point, Cloudy Jesse, will we get freezing fog? It doesn't look as likely now because of this deck, but maybe, just maybe, if this cools down enough up here on the northern end of the valley, might see some patchy freezing fog, but it is just too warm at night for that. And it's interesting because Ariana was saying, man, it's been a cold day today. But when you put this into the overnight hours, this is actually above average. The average high this time of the year in December is about 39 degrees. So with an overnight low like this into the low 40s, like 41 to 43 degrees, that's actually above average. Yeah, it's you think of, wow, fog keeps us cold during the day, but it doesn't keep us cold, super cold at night. It keeps us actually mild, because once you get that fog deck, again, if you get any clouds, you stop that radiative cooling, right? You want blue skies. You want the clear skies for that. And with the low stratus, yeah, it keeps us cool. So now the question is, let's see tomorrow's model run here on the HRRR. Will it actually clear? Oh, the 0Z model run is coming in right now. So let's play this through. Yeah, see, it's very hard to say. That's why I wanted the 0Z model run. This goes only out to 9 a.m. But this fog does look to clear at 4 in the morning now. Man, darn it. Looks like it's going to clear sooner. But hopefully not so soon. Hopefully not so soon. Because if this fog can stay well established and work its way back up the valley, then we are in some good... We're in good spirits for Tule fog. And the ceiling has not come down. Still at 500 feet. See what it's like on my station. Oh, 250 feet. So it's dropped a little bit more. It's actually lower than it was earlier. Man, it is coming back down. Won't be long before we get fog here. All right, any questions in the body? Yeah, we're already at 96% humidity. Man, I love this. I love it. Where does the Tule fog happen probably are wondering, where does it form? Well, out in the farm fields is a great area for Tule fog to form, which is why Tule fog forms in the first place in the Central Valley, but also the topography of the valley. It's like a bowl. It's a bathtub. Think of it like a bathtub, you all. It's basically what it is. Man, look at this sunset. Man, I just looked at this and I'm like, wow, that is beautiful. That is a very extensive fog deck right now. That is well established. Oh man, that is well established at this point in time. Oh man, that is picturesque. That's a postcard. And look at the underside of the clouds glowing here. Man, this is beautiful. This is actually, I want to watch this evolve. And actually, oh, it is a little pink. We got a little pink sky here. Some reflection. Got a little bit of a reflection going on. Oh, wow. Someone is watching from Alaska. What part of Alaska? Winter Birthday 2. What part of Alaska? Fairbanks, Alaska? Anchorage, Alaska? What part? Because you're saying there was a lot of freezing rain early this morning. Very slick out. Well, that's Alaska for you. That is Alaska. Which, by the way, since you are watching, you're probably wondering, is it going to get... how cold is it going to get for our area, or will you see any cold weather? Let's go to Alaska here, and let's look at the forecast there. And yeah, your temperatures are above average, but yeah, it's in the 20s, so that is a heat wave for Alaska. But will it cool off? And the answer to your question is most certainly. Yeah, you're going to have temperatures in the negative 20 degree range. And really cold, negative 30. Man, getting into the negative 30 degree range. That is pretty significant. And even colder, negative 50 in some areas. This is actual air temperature. Man, that is wow, that is bad. That is very cold. And then, of course, this is very far out, so don't believe it. But wow, Alaska is going to get a taste of winter big time right there. Your apparent air temperature, negative 50, negative 55. Very cold. Man, that is downright serious. Air quality is really bad. Oh man, this is yucky. I have an air quality sensor as well. I have the whole 9 yards. Actually, I have to do another a radiosonde mission here with my drone in a little bit, just to see how low our deck is. Yeah, it's too cold for cloudy Jesse for sure. Clouds do not live well with negative 40 degree temperatures unless it's in the form of cirrus clouds. By the way, how do you all like this weather software that I've got? Pretty cool, isn't it? Ceilings 246 now, dropping a little bit more. As a Californian, I wouldn't survive that. I don't think anybody would survive that. No one would. Oh, man, look at that sunset. Wow, is that beautiful? Is that beautiful or what? Oh, my. I got to make a tweet on that. That is actually really cool. Wow, that is gorgeous. My weather station is much more fancier than yours. Yeah, I spent like almost $2,000 on a weather station, so that's why. Um, yeah, mine is very advanced. By the way, if you're wondering, Cloudy Jesse, my weather station is mounted on a 50-foot mast. It's mounted pretty high up there, very high up off the ground. So I'm able to get some of the best wind data out there, which is why it goes to the National Weather Service. Yeah, the National Weather Service said, we'll approve your weather station. And this is the station right here. I know I'll kind of give out my location a little bit, but you'll find this either way on the National Weather Service. That's my station right there. There it is. There it is. It is going to be golly. It's going to be 5 years old. 5-year-old birthday coming up since it's been mounted like that. And it's done pretty good for what it's worth. See how these temperatures are not falling, you all? You guys can see that, and that's that Tule fog. Radiational cooling is not occurring tonight. Unlike last night, it really occurred. By this time last night, we were down into the lower 40s. We were down to like 43 or 44 degrees. We are warmer tonight, all thanks to that fog. Oh, that is a beautiful sunset, though. Oh my goodness. Mine is mounted on an 8-foot clothesline pole, and sadly, my wind data is not accurate because of pine trees. That's unfortunate. Hey, at least you checked one of the boxes. In order for a weather station to be at least quite accurate, you need it to be at least more than 6 feet above ground. So the fact that it's mounted 8 feet above ground, I think you check the box there for at least temperature-wise. Your temperature data is probably more accurate than its wind data, because with the wind data, you need to have it mounted really high. That's why I love my Davis. I love it, because literally it will pick up the littlest wind. It literally will. All right, folks, I think it is 5:05. We've been live here for about an hour. Yeah, we have been live for about an hour. But anyways, I thought I wanted to get a little bit of a weather lesson in terms of why Tule fog is here, how long will it last, and what makes it form. Well, Ariana, now you know the forecast. It doesn't look like it burns off tomorrow. So overview with what we talked about. Fog burns off tomorrow. How well established does it get tonight? Because there is these high cirrus clouds coming overhead that also bolsters the lessened amount of radiative cooling tonight if there's any breaks in that fog. And secondly, how much will the north wind scour this fog out tomorrow? The hope and dreams is we don't get much of that north wind here as what models are showing, because if we don't and it sticks around and it doesn't burn off, it will certainly pay us a visit tomorrow night. And it looks like it will be much more extensive tomorrow night than what we have tonight because of that north wind increasing later on tonight. And then, of course, by the middle of next week, we could be in some serious Tule fog territory because of that ridge of high pressure. In fact, one more thing here, because of this ridge, this is going to be Tule fog country. Tule fog country right here. Not much wind, not much atmosphere to stir things up. Even in the lower levels of the atmosphere, this is a very, very stagnant pattern, very stratified pattern here. So I am not too surprised if we have days upon days upon days of Tule fog next week. So something to consider throughout probably at least the first half of next week. We're looking at that. And then if the GFS ends up being correct, we could have this fog through all of next week. So hopefully we get some more rain, though. We just don't rely on Tule fog. But sadly, the GFS model says, nope, you're not getting rain, and I don't want to hear it anymore kind of thing. So, yeah. Yeah, more days of no sun coming up. The sun is going to come up. We just won't see it. That's the thing. But otherwise, man, why does it say 6:14 in the morning here? That is weird. Is that because Snaz is not up? Snaz is not up? I bet that will correct here once it runs. There we go. Now it's 5:08 p.m. More accurate than the 6:14. All right, as always, have a great rest of your Tuesday, folks, on the 2nd day of December. I will have another video out tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, don't miss it, at 3 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. That will be 6 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. This is going to be my semi-permanent upload schedule, okay? I'm testing things out, so I don't think, I'm not sure if this is going to be like a year-long thing, if it's, but at least for the next month or two, I will be uploading only in the morning hours, saving the afternoon videos for something bigger, like a massive snowstorm, blizzard, nor'easter, historic snowstorm, historic Arctic outbreak, this and that. So keep that in mind. Look for my videos in the morning instead of the afternoon. As always, have a great rest of your Tuesday on the 2nd day of December. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning.